Hey, this is Doug again. Kind of a little bit bored, so I just need something to do. So I just decided to do another live Facebook feed for now, and I don't plan for it to be too long, obviously, but I'm well shaven, as everybody knows, and you know, looking very good right now compared to yesterday and the day before. So I hope things are going well for all my fan base and my Facebook followers and all that. Hope things are going well, and it looks like Kyle Larson finally ended his winless streak. Although it sucks that it won't count in the record, but happy for him that he managed to take home the AllStar race. That's a race that makes the stars, and you also win $1 million for your win, which is pretty good. And I remember there was a time where uh, where they only gave $200,000, but now it's turned to $1 million, which is pretty good. Yeah, very happy for Kyle Larson that he finally won a race, and now he has $1 million that he could probably use to invest in the 42 team and make his cars faster and for the Ganassi organization itself because they're having a rough year. And you know very happy that Larson managed to win, and he truly deserved it, especially after giving me my most treasured memento, or photo, I should say, last year when I met him. I've always been a Larson fan ever since he started in the sport, and it feels very great that he got to win the race. I remember that when Brad Keselowski was being an idiot in 2014 and getting into it with a lot of other drivers, I remember signing an online petition that was signed by millions of race fans asking NASCAR to take Brad from the chase and put Larson in. And, looking back, that might have been unreasonable as far as the petition, but, at the time it was an accurate reflection of how I felt. I've always been a Larson fan ever since he started out in the sport, and I hope that this win will put him back on the right track as far as winning races, and as well as, yeah. And next week, or later this week, I should say, because it's Monday, it looks like there's going to be an announcement from Richard Petty's team, and it's not looking good from what I know for the 43 team. And Bubba has kind of been very depressed lately, and he said so on his social media. So chances are, either Richard Petty's team is going to shut down or the team's going to be sold to Michael Andretti's operation. And in any case, chances are that Richard Petty has spent most of his life savings into this team, and if he can't win on the track, then there's a chance that the Petty era might come to an end. And that's really unfortunate if it happens that way, especially since that there are some small teams that are still in the sport that have worse results than Petty's team, but yet they're yet to shut down. It's just, I think that things went downhill for Petty's team when Ambrose left the team. I think that was a big setback for them because Marcus was winning all of those races on the road courses. It's just, yeah. It's not looking good for Richard Petty Motorsports. And one thing I do know is if they shut down, fans are going to probably, all the Petty fans I know of that are still ticked off by Smithfield's departure, they're probably, instead of blaming the team for their bad results, they're probably going to blame Smithfield and say that, they backed out of a handshake deal and let the team dry up. But, in the end, it's the results that matter. And Petty couldn't win despite having some of the best drivers in the garage driving for him. And it's unfortunate, but that's a part of the sport. And yeah, looks like the cloudy days in Bakersfield right now. Looks like Bakersfield is starting to get sunny again because the past couple days it rained, and it was so rainy that it was uncomfortable. But luckily my mom and I went to the forest before the rain came, and I got some photos of the enormous trees that I'm going to keep forever, and ones that I'll probably use when looking for my photography degree. Hopefully it works out, and hope that more people tune in on this live feed, because hoping for a lot of success with this podcast that I started. And yeah, as everybody knows, I have autism, and I just hoping to get my name out there. And if anyone wants to be interested in my writing career, I'm going to pull up the front cover of a screenplay that I published a few years ago. I wasn't able to get a job as a screenplay writer at a studio, so I kind of created my own work, just like how Blake Cook created Filter Time when he couldn't get the money for his racing career. And so I created my own work as a screenplay writer, just like how, Blake Cook created Filter Time. And just a sec, I'm going to see if I can find the front cover. Here it is. As everybody can see, it's basically a screenplay that I wrote. It's a fantastical, or however you say that. It's a fantastical, or whatever it is, set version of the story of Moses from the Bible, and takes place in the future on another planet. And I published it in 2016, and I'm still yet to find work as a screenplay writer, so I have a couple more screenplays I'm going to write to get myself known out there. And it's going to be the two of them are going to be sequels to this one that I just showed. Again, it's Mose and the Great Escape, and each screenplay is going to be about 600 pages long, and so I'm going to have to split the story into two parts, and those are the sequels to it. And I'm still hoping to find work as a screenplay writer eventually, or a writer of films. I would love that if possible, and we'll see what we can do. And looks like Ricky Gwynn and David Lindoff has joined, and hope things are going well for y'all. And I'm hoping that Blake Cook does well as far as getting work from filtertime.com. That was big of him to start his own business in order to fund his racing career, and I'm hoping to do the same thing in order to get into the film industry. And sometimes you have to create your own work to do it, and Asperger's has not prevented me from being able to achieve things, and that's very fortunate. I've achieved so much in life, and some of the things I've achieved are meeting actual race car drivers, and here's one of them. When I met Kyle Larson, who drives for Ganassi's team. And let's see. I'm going to see if there's any other photos I have that are special. Just a sec. Might be in another album, but it looks like Chris Garner has joined. Happy to have you watching my feeds. The more the merrier, I always say. And I'm going to see if there's any other special photos I have that are accomplishment-wise. My only photo of the H. Scott Motorsports car when Justin Allgaier drove the car. And let's see. Let me see if there's anything else. Here's me and crew chief Frank Kerr, who I met about a year ago. And it was really nice to meet him because he's a cool crew chief, and I've always liked him. So it was awesome that he was my first crew chief I met. That meant a lot to me. And I've always been a Frank Kerr fan ever since he won with Marcus Ambrose, since he won all those Xfinity races with Marcus. And as you can see, it's clearly him, and at the time he was with TriStar Racing. And all right, and let me see if there's any other ones. Here's me in the Circle Sport car, the Hulu car of Jeffrey Earnhardt. And the photo is bigger than that. That's just screened out for size. But yeah. Let's see if there's any more. Okay. Here's me in Danny Sullivan's car that he won the Indy 500 with in '95. And there's more, just a sec. I know that there's more somewhere on here. Here's me in 1990 Daytona winner Derek Cope. Everybody can tell it's him, and he drove for Starcom when I met him. And here's me and Jamie McMurray when I met him in 2015, and that was the greatest moment of 15, undoubtedly. And here's me and Tanner Berryhill. I had a friend from high school named Bo Griego, and his father is an associate of Tanner, and it was cool to meet Tanner Berryhill on the track. And I asked him about Nick Griego, and Tanner seemed kind of surprised that I had met or known Nick. But it's pretty cool that everybody's connected in some way in motorsports. That's pretty cool. And here's my only picture of the Blue Deuce car that Brad Keselowski drove, and that was before Brad Keselowski became a dingbat in the sport. It's one, and this is the last memory I have of the Blue Deuce car and the number 2 car when I was a Brad fan, and ruined his image in 2014, and that's tough. Oh, here's another picture I have with Brad's pit stall when it was the Blue Deuce, and those were the good days when Brad was respected by the sport and when I was a big fan of the number 2 team. Those were good times, and I miss them to an extent. And here's Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch during pre-race ceremonies, although I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm just going to zoom in for a sec. Yeah, you can see it's clearly them. Yeah. It was cool to encounter them as well. That was pretty cool. And here's me in the first picture I had with the Starcom racing car, and that was a cool car. And that was the same day that I met Derek Cope. That was pretty cool. And here's my picture with BK Racing's car before it, went bankrupt. This was before the team was sold. And, now it's the 36 Ford Fusion at Front Row Motorsports. And here's my last picture with the BK car, which was in November of last year. It was BK Racing's penultimate race, although it was run by Bob Jenkins rather than Ron Devine. Yeah. I have a lot of good memories in NASCAR, and those are some of them. And, that's pretty cool. I love motor racing, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and it means a lot to me that I got to experience. Oh, here's another BK Racing picture. The same car from last November in its penultimate race. That's another photo I have with the She beverage. And here's another BK photo, although you can't really tell it's the car because it's me in my cowboy hat and my beard as well. And here's me in the Smithfield Stewart Haas racing car, and it's pretty cool that I got to experience all this stuff. It's worthwhile. It feels very good. All right. Thankful for all the support I have at my fan base on YouTube and on social media. I'm thankful for all your support, and if you guys want to get a copy of my screenplay, it's on Amazon, and I'll show the front cover one last time so that people can see the cover and know what it's called. It's this and Douglas Kenney, Mose and the Great Escape. Yep. Again, that's my screenplay, and it's on Amazon.com if anyone wants to get it. Anything goes in my writing career, and anything helps in my writing career. Trying to get myself known in the world. Thanks for joining me today, and this will be on my YouTube channel soon, and thanks for all the support.